Hello everyone, Jessica Cabasi here. This is video part number 3 to my portrait series where I show you how to shoot, retouch, and edit a portrait. For this picture, if you want to see how I shot it, that is in part 1. Part 2 is the retouching of this image, and then part 3, the one you're watching right now, is I'm going to go through and edit and color this picture and, kind of show you my techniques how to do it. So if you want to go watch the other two, I'm going to put links. If you've already watched them, awesome. You're right on track. So first, what I'm going to do is add a kind of blur to this. Now, I know it has soft blurs around the edges, but I do want to add some on my own. So usually what I'll do is duplicate this entire background layer. So press Command J on Mac, and it should just duplicate the picture. If you're not using Mac, I'm pretty sure it's Control. So now that it's duplicated, we're going to go to Filter, Blur, and then Gaussian Blur. Now it just kind of depends again what kind of look you're going for, but I'm going to do it around like 10.6 pixels. My image is pretty big, that's why I'm using that much of a radius, but if your picture is kind of smaller, then you can just kind of eyeball it. So now that the image is blurry, I mean obviously you don't want to keep it like that. What we're going to do is use a mask to cover up the areas that we want to show. If you don't know how to use masks, I cannot stress how important it is to know how to use masks. I have a tutorial on masks and you need to watch it. You need to learn this. If you want to if you want to know Photoshop, you have to learn how to use masks. Please, I'm like begging you. So if you know how to use masks already, you know what this does. So just want to click this little button here to make a mask. And as you can see, it comes up with this white box here. Again, make sure this is chosen. If you click on the picture, it's not gonna be any good. Choose the mask. So again, just clicking on there. Now what we're gonna do is press Command I, and this will invert the picture that we just did, the blur. It's gonna invert it. So it's basically hiding that blur that we just did. Now I'm going to go to the brush tool, and I'm going to make sure that the brush tool is the opposite color, and the opposite of this black would be the white that we're going to use. So make sure it is set to white, your foreground color. And now I'm going to use just a regular round brush, doesn't really matter, hardness at 0, size 800. I'm literally just going to go ahead, look, I'm going to show you guys what happens when I cross over here. It's going to fill in this area, which is right here. And it's going to kind of dictate where the blur is going to go. So I'm just going to softly, you can change the opacity by simply clicking or pressing a double number. So if I want the opacity to be 33, all I have to do is press 33 and it changes, which is kind of cool for lazy people like me. And I'm not lazy, I just don't feel like going all the way up there and like doing all that. It's too much work. That's too much work. Okay. So I'm just going over tiny parts of this. I don't want to go too crazy because it is a little blurry as it is, but just kind of make it look like, I don't know, she's beaming from heaven or something. I don't even know. Like angelic. I don't know, but that always reminds me of Angelica from the Rugrats, which my mom says I'm like Angelica. Maybe because it's like I like cookies. Maybe that's why. So, okay. Now you know a little bit about me. That's all there is to know, that I like cookies. So now that I've kind of went over this, again, nothing crazy, I'm just kind of like spotting some areas. I'm going to show you guys the before and after. That's before and that's after. Before, after. So now that we kind of got a little mystical feel going on here, I want to add a sharpen mask to this. So go back to your background layer and then press Command J one more time, which is going to, again, duplicate this, and then drag your background copy all the way up. So we're going to cover what we just did. So now we're going to go to Filter, Other, and then High Pass. So the High Pass is going to create this weird look. I mean, you're not going to keep it like this, but what we're going to do is sharpen it, but sharpen it in a kind of like weird fashion way, I suppose. Press OK. And then go from normal to soft light. And as you can see, it kind of sharpened up the face a lot and the tree area a lot. I'm gonna make a mask on this, but you don't have to. But I just want this to be more. I'm going to just simply make a mask and then go over those areas that I kind of made a little sharpened. So you don't have to do this, but just to show you guys an example, this sharpened mask, I'm going to show you guys an up close detail. So that's without the sharpened mask, the high pass mask, and that's with it, which is kind of nice. So again, you do not have to do this part, but I'm just really methodical and I just have to do everything. Okay, there we go. That should be good. So now we're going to go into the actual coloring. Go to layer, new fill layer, and then solid color. Press OK. Now you're going to select a brownie kind of color, which, God, reminds me of food. I love brownies. So just press OK. Can you tell I'm always thinking of food? Okay, so go from normal to soft light. And then we're going to lower this to around 46%. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. And also, about the sharpen layer, I'm going to go back to my high pass layer. I'm sorry. I'm just going to lower it just a tiny bit because I don't want it that sharpened. There we go. Something like that. So back to the color fill layer. Again, brown color, soft light, and around like 46-50% should be okay. Then go to layer, new adjustment layer, and then curves. Let's go on over here. Okay, and I'm going to make a couple of points. So what I'm going to do for the first time ever, I'm going to make points, and then I'm going to do this. So I'm going to bring this up a little, because I don't want it to be completely black. I want it to have some kind of like a vintage look to it. And that's how you get a vintage look. And I'm going to bring this middle part up. Not too much. I think that looks pretty good. We're going to go from RGB to red. I'm going to make one point in the middle and bring it up just a tiny bit, just like that. And we're going to go to green, and I'm going to make 2 points. And I'm literally just going to keep it like this because I don't like it too green. The green does not remind me of any food, so don't worry. And for the blue, we're not going to do anything actually. We're just going to keep it how it is. So we're doing green, red, and RGB only. Now that we're finished with curves, we're going to go to layer, new adjustment layer, and then hue and saturation. Oh God, I got to turn my phone. Okay, that's my ring. That was my phone. Okay, so we're going to go to hue and saturation. We're going to press OK. And then we are going to stay on the master. I'm sorry, I keep moving these around. Okay, there we go. We're going to stay on the master. We're going to change the hue to 82%. And then we're going to change the saturation to about, let's try -8. And we're going to keep the lightness to about 0. And then we're going to go from master to yellow. Now the reason that I went to yellow is because if I turn this off, as you can see, there are a lot of underlying yellows and greens, and it's going to kind of capture that. It's going to be the main color that we want to change. So we're going to take the saturation and bring it all the way down. Kind of like that. Okay, and then make sure. Okay. And then again, I'm going to go back to master and make sure it's +82, -8, and then 0% lightness. Okay, then I'm going to use the mask and kind of crop her out. I want the leaves to show and everything, but I don't want her to be green like this. So what I'm going to do is, again, painting over her, but I'm going to make sure that the opacity is 99%. And again, you want to use opposite colors. So if the mask is white, you want to use black. If the mask is black, you're going to want to use white. So let's just do that. Move this to the side. And I'm sorry, I know I've gotten a lot of comments about the clicking on here, but honestly, like, I don't know what else to do. I could use my tablet, but I don't know, I didn't feel like going for it. So I'm sorry if you have to hear the clicking of my touchpad. I really should invest in a desktop, but I don't know, I don't really like desktops. So, okay, there we go. So we're just outlining the model. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we did this because we want the color to only affect this area. And let me make sure. Yellow. You can also, if you want, you can change this around and it changes kind of like the color. So if you want to kind of test it out or try some cool stuff out, that's kind of cool. So I'm going to try going from normal to color and seeing how that is, but I do want it a little lighter. I'm going to lower the opacity just a tiny bit. So what I did was, again, I kept all the same things that I just showed you guys, kind of changed this up a little bit, and set this from normal to color, and this is going to be, I'm probably going to change this later, but I do like how it's looking. It's kind of looking muted, which I like. So we're going to keep that the way it is. Bump it up just a tiny bit. Again, here's the layer with and without. Okay, then we're going to go to layer, new adjustment layer, and then vibrance. And for this, we're going to do a negative 26%. And as you can see, it kind of looks like a depressing photo now. Which, I mean, you kind of fit in because everything in fashion is kind of depressing, isn't it? Everyone's sad. So don't worry, we're going to add more life to this picture. Go to layer, new adjustment layer, and then we're going to go to gradient map. And now we are going to click on this gradient, and we're going to go from pink, like a pink to yellow color. Okay, that should be good. And we're going to set this to multiply, and we're going to do like a, that's kind of cool, isn't it? That's kind of nice, about 39%. We'll keep it at 39 for now, but again, you can change it. The reason why I love doing gradient map is you can kind of control the color that you want the whites and the blacks to be, which is nice. And then we are going to go to a gradient fill, which you can go to layer, new fill layer, and then gradient. Now we're going to go from a transparent to like a light yellow. So you kind of want something that looks like a really depressing yellow. So kind of like that. Exactly what I have right now. Depending on your taste, you could keep this kind of washed out look. What I'm going to do is probably try, I don't know, maybe a radial. You can change the angle of it too if you kind of want it off to the side, which I'm kind of liking right now. Kind of like that. So again, all I did was just change the angle, and you can change the scale of it if you want it more or less. I kind of just keep it around 100%. So I'm going to put this, and then what I'm going to do is make one more. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to new fill layer, gradient, and I'm going to go to that same depressing grandma yellow, which I love. I don't know, I really like this color. Instead of linear now, I'm going to go to radial. And I'm going to do a reverse to make it like a nice border. And I'm going to bump up the scale to the maximum, which is 150. And I'm going to press OK. Now I'm going to go from normal to overlay. And as you can see, it kind of looks a little weird, but I'm going to lower the opacity. And now it looks kind of normal. So I'll show you guys. That's the before and after. It just kind of like makes it pop out a little bit more. But you don't have to have the border if you don't want to. See, if I don't have this, then it'll just kind of be like that. So kind of matters on your preference. I'm going to lower this just a tiny bit. This is why I never can finish a picture. It takes so long. Okay, I'm not going to change. That's pretty good to me. Now, you could keep it like this if you wanted to, but one other trick is if you want to pop out the white, see how her face is kind of one color, like there's no highlight in her face. If you go to layer, new adjustment layer, and then selective color, the way you can kind of bring out highlights in the face is by going to the whites and then bringing every single one down. And as you can see, it already made a huge difference. I don't think the blacks matter. So let me show you before and after with the whites all the way brought down. It just makes it pop. Like, pay attention, especially over here. And actually the cheeks, her cheeks as well. Kind of just brings in that, it kind of pops it out just a tiny bit. So if that's something that you like, you know, you can use it. If you like to keep it kind of like monotone, which a lot of photographers like to keep it like this, you can keep it like that. And actually, this is the end of the tutorial. I really like the outcome of this, and I think it's a long way from what it used to look like, which I will show you in just one moment. So this is the before. Now I'll make it nice and big for you guys to see. This is the before, and this is after. So even everything down to the sharpening of the image. Like, if you notice here, especially, it's just really nice because it's blurred. It kind of gives it like an old vintage kind of look. So that's the end of the tutorial. I hope that you took away something from this. My favorite part about images is coloring and editing, so I feel like if you do want to get into fashion photography or photography in general, you have to know your layers, your adjustments, stuff like that. So hopefully I've helped. If you have any requests, please email me or send me a message. You know, follow me on Instagram if you like. I always post stuff first over there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be uploading a new video every week. So thank you guys for subscribing and watching and all your support.